We designed the No Safe Space series to challenge controversial and sensitive topics in the shooting world, addressing things like magazine placement on the body, using the slide release versus an overhand grip, and things like press checks. Our intention is to challenge the current methods of shooting in hopes to find the most efficient way of functioning a gun and pass that information on to you guys. Let's take a look. You shouldn't blame the weapon for your lack of training, otherwise decent video. What I learned from this video, it is way more important to remain tactical at all times than to operate your weapon properly. Using the slide release is actually faster. You lost me when you didn't use the slide release. First video of yours I have watched and you showed me what to expect in less than 2 minutes. Thank you for not wasting any more of my time. No offense, man, but the slide release is there for a reason. If you accidentally hit the safety by racking the slide, which requires an extra step, you aren't using the gun properly or efficiently. Well, hey, what's up guys? Tactiholics here. Today we're going to hurt some feelings. Today we're getting back to a pile of viewer comments as well as addressing a training issue or a training perspective with handguns today, and that's using the slingshot method or the overhand racking method of the slide versus using the slide release. So probably one of the most commented on videos from a negative perspective that I've put out yet is the review that we did of the Beretta M9 handgun, and the fact that using an overhand grip on the Beretta M9, for me, a lot of the time I end up engaging that safety, which obviously prevents the gun from being able to be shot when I need it to be shot, whether that's charging the gun or changing magazines. So many people have commented on that video saying that I have an issue or I don't know what I'm doing with the gun, or it's a lack of training, or that I want to stay tactical as opposed to running the gun. And my response to that would be that I choose to employ the gun from a position that I know will work every single time. People say that using the slide release is faster than doing an overhand grip. Maybe, I'm not really sure. All I know is that it's not faster if you choose to engage the slide release to release the slide when you're changing magazines and you fail to charge the gun properly, then it would be to take an extra fraction of a second and come up over the top of the gun. The next part of my feelings between the slide release and the overhand racking method as far as the speed goes is you may be marginally faster with one or the other. A lot of people claim that using the slide release is faster, but is it fast enough to defend yourself appropriately in your current position? Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Shot timers and things like that don't matter in defensive situations. It's always good to push yourself to try to be faster and be more efficient on the gun, using as little time, effort, and energy as possible to function the gun. But those numbers that your timer puts out after running a drill it's a false sense of security. It's not something that I should take as saying I can change a magazine this fast or shoot a gun this fast, therefore I'm just good to go to protect myself amongst all scenarios. I think that one of the most misunderstood perspectives of the Beretta M9 review in general and the slide release versus overhand racking method is that we as civilians have the ability to choose and select whatever gear, whatever gun that we want to use, whereas military and law enforcement, armed professionals are issued gear. They have to make it work for them. I think that adaptability and understanding how to use a variety of guns is certainly a good thing, but for me, with the ability to freely choose what I want to carry, what I want to defend myself with, I choose consistency among my platforms and consistency among my training. Do I understand that you can use a slide release to release that slide and charge the gun? Absolutely I do, but that's not how I do it on any other gun, and it works 100% of the time to rack the gun over the top versus using the slide release. The slide release might work 95, 99% of the time, whatever that means. I don't want to rely on that. I want to rely on something that I know works every single time. I trust my life to Pitbull Tactical because it stands up to the demands that I need as a concealed carry citizen, as a firearms instructor, and as a gun and gear reviewer. We run our stuff hard. We ask a lot of our product, and Pitbull delivers to our demands. The adjustment, the versatility, it's all there. I mean, the capabilities that you can do with one holster and the variety of configurations you can get out of just one simple holster, one rig, it's money well spent. You're not going to find it anywhere else. Additionally, when talking about the consistency of using the overhand rack method, every semi-automatic gun is going to have a slide that moves the exact same way. It comes back and it goes forward. You can get a nice big bear paw grip on it, pull it back, let it go forward. You know that it's doing its job. If you're focusing on the slide release and you pick up a 1911, the slide release is going to be in one location. You pick up a Glock, it's in another location. A SIG is still another. The Beretta is another one. So now you're taking something that's more of a fine motor skill and you're moving the position and the location of that slide release on the gun, and all that does, in my opinion, is set you up for failure when you talk about cross-utilizing or cross-training with a variety of different firearms. You could be incredibly proficient with using the slide release on one handgun, pick up or purchase another handgun, and it would set you back. You might be fumbling around looking for that lever. It's going to throw you off as far as the consistency because of the location of that slide lock. Those are odds that I don't typically want to play with. Along with consistency, another factor that affects my decision away from using the slide release is if we simply break down the physics of the gun. So I have a clear gun here, no magazine, nothing in the chamber. So if we're in a slide lock position, we insert our next magazine and just go ahead and simply release the slide from this position. The slide goes forward, should chamber around. Most of the time it's going to. But if we start from the same slide lock position, insert our next magazine, grip the slide over the top, pull it back and let it go, that extra fraction of an inch, quarter of an inch, eighth of an inch is just further compressing the spring to build up momentum and energy to charge the gun, which in my opinion equates to a greater sense of security and ensuring the fact that that bullet's actually going to make it into the chamber. I know a lot of people out there are probably going to argue and say, well, I use the slide release all the time and I don't have failure to feeds. I'm not saying that you should. I actually think, quite honestly, that if you have a gun that's at slide lock, you insert a magazine and use the slide release and it doesn't charge the gun, you probably have a bad gun or you need to clean it or something like that. All I'm saying is that purely from a physics perspective, increasing that spring tension is going to further solidify the fact that that bullet's going home in the chamber. The biggest benefit to using the slide release, in my opinion, is when shot timers matter and when the speed of the drill matters. Let's leave that to the competitive arena. In competitive arenas, the faster you can run against a shot timer, the better off you are, the higher you're going to rank and all those different things. In a defensive situation, shot timers don't exist. Yes, I want to be able to function and run the gun very quickly, but I also, and much more importantly, want to function it reliably and consistently in a way that I know is going to work every single time. Shot timers and the speed of your drill don't matter because there is no drill necessarily for defensive encounters, for truly defensive shooting. All there is reacting to what's going on in your environment and functioning as efficiently as possible to that changing dynamic situation, something that we can't truly plan for right down to a science. So the science of microseconds on a shot timer when talking about charging the gun or reloading the gun, I don't mess with it. I really don't know which one's faster. I don't care. It comes down to relying on gross motor skills with a gun. Now you can't completely eliminate fine motor skills because arguably working the trigger is a fine motor skill, but I try to eliminate fine motor skills whenever necessary. So using something like the slide release to me is a fine motor skill that doesn't have to be there. Aside from all the other stack of inconsistencies that we talked about, there's just, to me, there's no reason to use it to charge the gun. Rely on gross motor skills and mass amounts of contact with the gun every single time that option is available to you. Well, there you have it, guys. Hopefully this video shed some insight to my philosophy in regards to using an overhand rack versus, or over in front of, using that slide release. I understand why it's there. For me, the only time that I employ that slide release is if I have some type of malfunction that I have to lock the slide open for. It's a slide lock, not necessarily a slide release in my perspective. I understand that it can be used for charging the gun. It's just something that I choose not to do, and that's why. If you have any comments, or if this maybe changed your position, or you want to argue further the slide lock position or slide release position, go ahead and leave them in the comments down below. We love hearing from you guys and giving us things to think about, and if there's something out there that we can learn from you guys or from anybody out there that changes the way that we shoot guns for the better and makes us more efficient and more consistent with the firearm, we're all ears, happy to hear it. So I look forward to reading the comments below. We'll see you next time. We never quit.